I'm Alex, and let me take you back to that eerie night that began with a seemingly innocent invitation from my longtime friend, Robin. We'd been inseparable since childhood, sharing countless adventures and secrets. But this particular evening was unlike any other. As I crossed the threshold into Robin's house, an eerie ambiance immediately struck me. The living room was bathed in dim, flickering light, casting long shadows that danced ominously on the walls. An unsettling chill permeated the air, causing goosebumps to erupt on my arms. Robin, with a disconcerting grin that seemed out of character, gestured towards the couch and suggested, "Alex, how about we have a horror movie night? It'll be a real thrill." Now, I must admit that I had never been a fan of horror films, but I didn't want to let Robin down. We'd always been there for each other, so despite my reservations, I reluctantly agreed. Little did I know that this decision would plunge me into a nightmarish ordeal I would never forget. We settled onto the couch, the dim light of the living room adding to the eerie ambiance. Robin, with a mischievous grin, loaded up the movie he had chosen for the night, The Haunting Shadows. The film centered around a cursed mansion that seemed to have a life of its own, tormenting any unfortunate souls who dared to enter. As the movie began, the tension in the room grew palpable. The creaking floors and ghostly whispers in the film sent shivers down my spine. I tried to keep my cool, but the discomfort was unmistakable. Every time a spine-chilling scene unfolded on the screen, Robin and I exchanged uneasy glances. We both knew that neither of us was particularly fond of horror movies, but we soldiered on, determined to maintain our bravado. The movie's pacing intensified as it reached its midpoint, building up to the most terrifying moment of all. The cursed mansion, now fully revealed, was a grotesque, nightmarish structure. It seemed to pulsate with malevolence as it loomed on the screen. Shadows danced menacingly, and eerie whispers filled the room. My heart was pounding in my chest and my palms were clammy. I couldn't help but turn towards Robin, seeking some comfort in our shared fear. But what I saw was beyond comprehension. Robin had transformed, his face contorted into a grotesque mask, mirroring the horrific entity on the screen. His eyes, once filled with warmth, were now sinister orbs. His grin, twisted and malevolent, sent a wave of dread coursing through my body. I gasped, unable to look away from this grotesque transformation. Fear paralyzed me as I realized that my friend, or whatever this creature was now sitting right beside me. It was as if the movie had unleashed something unimaginable, something dark and otherworldly. In that moment, my mind raced with terror and my body tensed. I wanted to flee, to escape this living nightmare. But before I could react, Robin, or the creature that had taken his form, turned to me. It leaned in close, its breath icy cold against my ear, and gave me a chilling smirk that sent shivers down my spine. My heart pounded louder and faster than ever before, a relentless drumbeat of fear. I knew I had to get out of there, away from whatever had possessed my friend. With sheer terror driving me, I bolted from Robin's room, stumbling down the stairs, and raced toward his family, desperate for help. I burst into the dimly lit living room, my breaths ragged and my heart pounding like a drum. The eerie silence hung heavy in the air, broken only by the flickering light of the television showing that cursed movie. I turned to face Robin's father, Mr. Anderson, expecting some reassurance or help, but what I saw made my blood run cold. Mr. Anderson's eyes, once warm and friendly, were now devoid of all humanity. They glowed with a malevolent light as a wicked smile slowly crept across his face. It was the same unsettling grin that I had seen on Robin's face before, the one from the movie. Panic surged through me as I realized that something was terribly wrong. I tried to speak, to explain the horror that had unfolded in Robin's room, but my voice caught in my throat. My words were reduced to stammers as I struggled to make any coherent sense. The room seemed to close in on me as the other members of the Anderson family turned their attention towards me, their eyes glowing with that same eerie light. Robin's mother, Mrs. Anderson, who had always been so welcoming and kind, now wore an expression of malevolence that sent shivers down my spine. Even their younger sibling, Emily, had transformed into a nightmarish version of herself, her innocent features twisted into something grotesque and otherworldly. I stumbled backward, desperate to escape the clutches of this horrifying nightmare. The Anderson family moved closer, their movements synchronized in an unnatural and menacing way. The room seemed to warp and distort around me, as if reality itself had become a nightmarish illusion. My vision blurred, and I felt my consciousness slipping away as fear overcame me. I could hear the whispers of the Andersons, their voices twisted and distorted, as if they were speaking in a language I couldn't understand. Everything went dark. When I finally regained consciousness, I was back in my own room, drenched in sweat, and my heart still racing. I was alone, and the familiar surroundings offered some comfort. I couldn't be sure if what had happened at Robin's house was real or just a horrific nightmare. But then, just as I was beginning to convince myself that it had all been a terrible dream, a message notification on my phone shattered my fragile sense of security. It was from Robin. The message read, "Today was a fun day, Alex. We'll soon make another plan." My trembling hands could barely hold the phone as the chilling realization struck me. The horror hadn't ended, it had only just begun.